Hello and welcome to the Rask Network. What you're about to hear and see is limited to general financial information only. Please be sure to speak to your financial planner or refer to our financial services guide available at rask.com.au/FSG before acting on the information.
Welcome back to the Australian Business Podcast. My name is Jordan and today I'm joined by Zara. Zara, how are you?
Good. George, how are you?
Good. Recording in the studio?
We are, yes. It's always good to do it in person.
Love it. So much better than Restream.
Yep.
Sorry, Owen. I know he loves it. And sorry, Morton, as well for all the edits, but we're getting there.
We're getting faster.
Yeah. And we're trying to just stretch them out a bit as well, make them longer and really think out the episode. So
yeah, go into detail a little bit more, which is nice.
Yeah. Really enjoying it. Today we're talking about time management for business owners. Mm-hmm. And me personally, this is very important. And I feel like sometimes we can be very time poor. Sometimes we get caught up doing things that we shouldn't necessarily be doing, getting caught in the weeds is what you and I usually say.
Yep.
So I think it's important to talk about time management and how it leads to increased productivity and less stress as well. Because once we know what we're doing, the stress levels are reduced.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a lot of different ways throughout everyone's day-to-day that you can kind of speed up, whether it be through automation, whether it be through just changing kind of the overall efficiency of something. So setting priorities, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
Why do you think it's important for business owners?
I think it's so easy to get caught in the weeds.
Yep.
Because particularly in the early stages of your business, you are doing the execution, you are the technician, you are doing the execution work, but you also need to focus on how you're going to grow the business, right? So you're doing in-business stuff, or you're working in the business and you're also trying to work on the business. And I think there comes a time where as business owners, once you start to bring people into your team, people that you trust, it's really important to try and step out of the doing work so that you can actually focus on growing and starting to grow the business and making sure that where you're spending your time is the most effective and efficient way to be spending your time. And it's something that I know we talk about all the time in the Inflection community and with other business owners. And it's, I know Daniel calls it like shiny object syndrome as well, like getting distracted on certain different things. So I think it really comes down to planning, controlling where you spend your time, what you're spending your time on, and knowing that the benefits that you're going to get out of it totally outweigh.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think it's super important just to try and be in control of what activities you're doing on the day in and day out. And I know sometimes people or clients, customers, whatever it may be, there can be time wasters. And sometimes it's not customers, could be staff, could be suppliers, whatever it may be. I think it's super clear to just set those boundaries and set some clear expectations, because then you can prioritize.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And whether it's, setting out if there's a certain deadline, when something needs to be done, that can help to organize your priorities as well. I know it's something that I struggle with is like prioritization.
Yep.
And sometimes I get stuck in doing what I feel like doing.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Because there's some things that are fun and there's some things that are administrative, and depending on kind of how I feel at that certain time of the day. But I think it's really important to say, okay, well, feelings aside, these are the priorities that I actually need to turn around within a period of time.
Yeah, for sure. And we could set the priorities, what needs to get done, and set some goals as well. What we do, and I know I do it, Daniel does it too, is those golden hours or whatever you want to call it, but just having those like time blocking, that's something that we do.
Yep.
And where we put it in the calendar, and just if we're going to be doing sales calls for an hour, that's all we're doing. If we're going to be doing that admin stuff, then that's what we're going to be doing. If we're going to be organizing workflow, that's what we're doing in that set period of time. So I think that really helps. That helps us. And I know there are several tools that you can use in order to get on top of the time management side of things. We just use the calendar. I mean, there's to-do lists, time tracking apps. What do you use?
Calendly, like using your own calendar and blocking out times is really important. I think for me, it's then just making sure that I actually stick to those as well. But I think it is going through, I set my deadlines when everything's due, and then I just kind of work backwards from that and try to knock out things that are coming up first, or the things that I know are going to take a long period of time. If I know that I'm putting together kind of a 24-month strategy, I know that it's not something I can turn around in a day.
Yep.
So I need to allow time over a week or over 2 weeks so that I know that when I'm going into that, I'm going in with the right mindset.
Yep.
So it's just about, I guess, like planning that project out as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do you use any apps or anything for, I guess, the workflow wise? I know we use Monday.
Yep. Monday's a really good one for project management and staying on top of things. We've also had to play around with ClickUp.
Oh, yeah.
Which not loving moving away from it at the moment. But it is a really good one. I guess it's just like an entry level. Again, there's like a free option. But yeah, Monday's my preference.
Yeah.
Just because of how it connects to our CRM system. You can integrate it with Slack. So it's so easy to kind of stay on top of things regardless of what platform you're using. Everything kind of speaks to one another.
Yeah, for sure. And whatever software you're going to use, you just want to make sure that the day-to-day tasks are aligning with the overall business goals, and that you just want to make sure you're constantly pushing forward and making progress.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to, again, sometimes you have those days and it's like, what have I even done today? I think it's super important that just have that alignment, whatever it is, break down those larger goals into smaller goals and make them manageable tasks. If you need to delegate. If there's tasks that you shouldn't be doing, if you've got staff to do it, but, it'll take me 2 seconds to do it if I was to explain it, that's not the mindset. You need to have that mindset that, okay, I'll invest that 5-10 minutes. I'll show my staff member how to do it, and then it's off my plate indefinitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think also another really important thing is sort of recognizing how you work. I know for myself, and I know we'll probably talk about time management techniques and those kinds of things, but I know I can't focus on something for a long period of time. The way that my brain works, I kind of change around quite a bit. And I know one that is quite common is like the Pomodoro technique.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
Is that 20 minutes on and then?
25 minutes on and then you kind of take a break. And yeah, essentially it's like once that break happens, then you take a break, you step away, and then you kind of I think it's every 4 Pomodoros, every 4 kind of 25-minute, then you kind of take a long break.
Yeah, okay.
To really sort of reset.
20 minutes on, how many?
I think it's 25 on and then it's
25.
like a 5 or 10 minute kind of break.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. I use that time blocking method that I spoke about before. And I think, batching tasks as well is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Easy to do. But again, there's no one set way to do it. Different things work for different people. And it's not a bad idea to try different things and experiment with different techniques that can use.
Yeah, absolutely. And figure out kind of when you work best too. Like are there certain times of the day, like I know we've spoken about it before, but like I don't expect much from me between the hours of like 3 and 4 p.m. because my brain just or 3 and 4:30, my brain just sort of switches off, which is probably a product of, 13 years of schooling. That's when you kind of clock off and you go home.
True.
So maybe it's something that it's just a matter of, I'm I guess in a position where I'm able to kind of schedule my day. I start a bit earlier, I finish a bit later, so I can take that kind of 3 to 4:30 sort of break when I know that I'm not going to be productive.
Yeah, for sure. That for me, I'm the same, but at that 3 o'clock when I know it's coming, that's when I have my last coffee of the day.
And by last, do you mean number 10? Or?
No, number 6. No, it's the 3rd. 1 as soon as I get in, 1 at 11, and then 3.
Okay.
Regimented.
Just kind of powers you through.
Yep.
Well, you've got your technique then.
Yeah, I do. That's my technique. Caffeine. But yeah, it's just important to, again, try the different methods, and there's several more. I'm sure. I know there's heaps of stuff on YouTube and heaps of gurus talking about this type of stuff, and there's no one way that's the best. There's whatever works for you. Yeah.
And I think even sometimes chunking is another option. So it's like taking a really big project and breaking it up into smaller parts. Because I think something, again, that sometimes people struggle with, and I know that I've struggled with, is like that feeling of success, like when you tick something off your list. It's like, oh, I've got something down, or I've figured something out, or I've crossed that thing off my list. So I think sometimes if you have a really big project, so for example, in my instance, it might be like a 24-month marketing strategy, that at the end of it can be like a 16 to 20 page document. That's a lot to sit down and do in one thing. So I might say, okay, well, what I'm going to do is today I'm going to work on, the USP of the business, and then like the unique selling proposition. Or then tomorrow I might work on like brand values and the content pillars. So ways that kind of we can use those unique selling propositions that we've worked out, and then how we can kind of make sure that we're communicating them really effectively. So it's just about sort of like breaking down a bigger project into smaller, more manageable sections. Yeah, for sure. And again, that's where you can use that those workflow tools that you mentioned before. Monday, ClickUp, there's Trello, Asana, Todoist. You can just use the Apple app reminders or to do the to-do list. To-do list. Yeah. Apple to-do list. I've done that a couple of times. So yeah, there's heaps of options. There's no right and wrong way of doing things. Now, the biggest killer of productivity, procrastination. Yeah. So how do you overcome that? That's a good one. I think for me, an element of like setting up my environment properly. Like I know if I have my phone within reaching proximity, it's and also having like starting my day the right way is really massive. If I kind of lounge out of bed, you know, I wake up later and I go and have like a slow coffee in the morning and then I go for like a long walk with my dog. It sounds lovely, but that's how you would treat a weekend. Yeah. Whereas if I get up, my alarm goes off, I take the dog for a quick walk, I got to do a workout and then I come back, I have coffee and then I take my dog for a longer walk and then I kind of get into my day. I feel because I've been productive and I've moved through to things a little bit earlier, I'm much more productive throughout the day. There's also a little bit of, I actually heard someone else talk about this as well and it resonated, but if I do a workout in the morning, I'm in a really good headspace, I think, because I've done something hard. And then so if another challenge comes up throughout the day, there's an element of like, well, I've already done something really hard. And so when I'm doing that workout, if I'm like 40 minutes in and I'm like absolutely, you know, exhausted, I just say to myself, this is the hardest thing I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to move through it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, I guess, changes my mindset for the rest of the day, which helps. So I think I've, you know, over the last kind of 3 years, I think as I've been more operating on my own time frame, it's been really important to kind of figure out when I can feel myself getting ready to procrastinate.
Yeah.
And then also how I can set up my day as best possible so that I avoid procrastination as much as I can.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm a bit different. In the morning, I'm up and out of the house in like 10 minutes.
You're a boy.
Yeah. It's funny.
I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make a difference to some people, but.
Nah, it's funny because I was on holidays with a group of friends a long time ago. And like, that's when I started this getting ready in like 5 minutes. Cause like we're overseas in Europe traveling for a long period of time. And they're like, oh, quick, we need to get up. We need to get ready and leave. I'm like, dude, I only need 5 minutes. Let me sleep. So yeah, I'm up, out of the house, done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much as soon as I get up, it's get ready. My brain's not even working. I'm autopilot.
Yeah.
So that's my morning. And then it's just procrastination is such a hard thing. There's a few things that it comes down to. There's that fear of failure. There's perfectionism.
Yep.
I think it's like a motivation. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big thing.
Yep.
What about you? What are your thoughts on that? The main causes?
I totally agree. I think sometimes lack of motivation, or it could be like a lack of buy-in, I think is a pretty massive one. Like lack of understanding kind of why you need to do a certain thing or why it's going to impact a person or a team or a client if you do that thing in that period of time. So I think having that buy-in is really important because I think it helps to give you, I guess, like a push or that motivation to move through that project. So yeah, and I think perfectionism is a hard one because it's something that we all strive for, but that can mean that then either we don't start something or we linger on something and we don't turn something in because it's kind of just we're waiting to get it to 100%.
Yeah.
So I think, there's so many reasons, and I totally agree with you that there's so many reasons that cause procrastination. But yeah, I think maybe some of those earlier strategies that we sort of spoke about in terms of setting deadlines, something like using accountability partners, I think is a really interesting one.
That is an interesting one. The only issue I have with deadlines is that I think it's called Parkinson's law, where the work expands to fill the time that's allocated.
Oh yeah.
And sucker for that.
Sucker for that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so true. It's like, I've got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've got a week. Yeah. I've got 4 days. Problem. So I think deadlines can be, I wouldn't say counterintuitive because it's not a bad thing, but sometimes that Parkinson's law, I'm 99% sure that's what it's called, that creeps in. Yeah. So I think it's just stay conscious of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think the accountability partners is a good one. And if you obviously are running the business on your own, then it's a little bit harder because you haven't kind of got anyone to bounce those ideas off or to hold you accountable to achieving a certain thing. But maybe you are starting out, maybe you're new to the business, maybe it is just you, but maybe you've got someone else within your realm, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's someone else that's kind of at home with you, you can go out and say to them, this is what I'm going to achieve before 12 o'clock. When we take our lunch break, check in with me.
Yeah.
And I know at the moment I'm working from home quite a bit. And so it is something that I do with my husband, and we do together in the morning. He works from home quite a bit as well. And we just say, cool, what are your goals for today? What are you going to achieve? And so we list out our things because we did both get caught up in that procrastination phase.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that can definitely help, especially if that other person keeps you accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a quick tip is just start to implement small changes, and those small changes will just build on themselves, and you'll get momentum. It'll help you stay motivated. But look, everyone has those days where you do feel like doing nothing and you don't want to do anything. And as long as you just get over that quickly, but again, it's only normal when you've had enough.
Absolutely. And I think the that book by James Clear, is it called Atomic Habits?
Yeah.
You know, and the whole thing is like tiny changes have big results.
Yeah, exactly. The example that he uses with those small changes, I'm pretty sure it's his book where he talks about an aeroplane and when it takes off, and if it's a centimeter off or centimeter, meter, whatever the measurement is, that at the end of the journey, you're hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of kilometers away. So it goes to show you that difference, that small difference, how much of an impact it can have.
Yeah. And I think it also talks about habit stacking. So it's like starting with, you know, if it's I want to go to the gym every morning before I go to work. He's like, okay, well, before you do that, the hardest part is sometimes getting out of bed, getting changed, all that kind of thing. So I'm going to set my alarm, but I'm going to put my alarm on the other side of the room. So I have to get out of bed to turn my alarm off. And then the next morning I'm going to put my workout gear next to my phone where my alarm's just gone off. So it's like you get out of bed, you don't have to find your workout gear. It's sitting next to the phone that you're already just standing next to. So it's about these kind of like small changes, like you said, incremental changes that you can make within your day to day that help you to move towards, I guess, that end goal.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the best way as well to try and stop the procrastination and get on top of your time and managing your tasks is to delegate.
Yeah.
And be okay with delegating and outsourcing tasks. It's so important if you do want to manage your time effectively, especially those low-level tasks or whatever the task is. Invest the time to train someone into it or to do the task, so that way it's off your plate. Like I said before, like you don't have to deal with it again.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a good one.
I think, you just want, as a business owner, you just want to focus on those high-value activities as much as possible. You don't want to get caught in the weeds, and we all do, but you want to be able to identify it, step back and go, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. Someone else should be doing this. I need to either get someone else in, or I need to train someone up on how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good point, outsourcing the work.
Yeah. And even outsourcing as well. Like, it's okay if you don't have the capacity to bring someone on full time. If you just want to get a VA or someone for a day a week to help with tasks that are outside of your domain, that's fine as well. Again, it's mainly the admin side of things that you don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea as well to identify those tasks that you do want to delegate and that you do want to outsource. Make a list, spend half an hour, brain dump them, and then work out who you can give them to. If you need to bring someone else in, fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes you shouldn't even be doing it, period. Just stop. So I think it's, super important to be able to delegate and to outsource tasks, especially how technology is now. There's really no excuse for not being able to delegate and outsource. Yep.
And I think, like you said earlier as well, sometimes it's a matter of investing that 15, 20 minutes in that initial conversation to help get, whether it's outsourcing, whether it's looking into like automation software or AI software that can support, so then it can reduce the long-term amount of time that you're spending on that task.
Exactly right. It's just so important as a business owner. You need to get on the front foot with your stuff because like I said, sometimes you have those days and you go, what have I even done? Have I even done anything? And you've just been responding to emails all day. So
and I think having, again, accountability partners, but also having a community of people that you can sort of bounce off is really important. I think knowing as a business owner, you're not alone in this. There are a lot of people that are going through the same motions and having the same feelings as well. I know we've been through them. So I think that's one of the like massive benefits of having a community of people around you, like whether it's through, the Free Inflection community that we've got online, or whether it is through, a business program or, an event that you can kind of attend. I think just having those conversations with other business owners to help you recognize that it is a normal experience that you're going through, and it's okay, and everyone struggles with kind of overcoming it, but there's ways out of it. Yeah,
for sure. And if you did want to join that community, we do have a link in the show notes.
Yep, we do.
So feel free to jump in, say hello, introduce yourself. And again, you may find an accountability partner in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. That was great.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.